Good morning, Nigeria. As usual, TVC has got a finger on the pulse and our eyes constantly on the streets. And we do our best to bring you trending stories from across the globe and in Nigeria in order to have some decent and interesting dialogue about them. In our first story, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, Jamb, has released the results of the 2025 UTME Resit that was held for students that were affected by technical issues during the first exam. Now, out of 336,000 students, of the rescheduled candidates, about 21,000 of them were absent. And Jamb says that over 3,000 results were cancelled due to exam malpractice. The board also revealed that 71% of those who wrote the resit scored below 200, with very few scoring up to 217. However, several students online have come forward saying that their scores were much higher during the resit examinations than Jamb is actually reporting. And this, of course, raises questions about the board's latest claims and figures. Let's take a look at social media. And this is Alex Onya, and he is the CEO of a company called Educare. And when the first results came out and there was a mass failure, he took it upon himself to actually pursue litigation on behalf of these students and really held Jamb by their throat, if I must say. And this is him coming online to sort of celebrate the victory. He says, "It is now clearly obvious that this is the best Jamb results in 2017. That's since the last 9 years. From the worst results a few weeks ago to the best few weeks later. I saw it, I knew it, and I was right." And he posted figures to back that claim up. At Kaylee says, "My brother scored 156 in the Jamb examination that had the glitch, in quotes. I watched my very happy and playful brother become sad. Well, he just checked his result today and he got 253. So how is Jamb saying that over 70% of them scored below 200 when on the ground? Several students are saying we scored higher than 200. Yusuf Ademola says, "I got 152 at first. With a little preparation, now I got 278. Interesting. And this is Alex Onya again. He says, "The Guardian intentionally misrepresented facts. 99% of them scored less than 200 in the cancelled results. This generation of Nigerian students are very brilliant, even with all the distractions available. This year's result is the best in 9 years. The LAG cluster, that's the southeastern states and Lagos, from the recent results published are by far the top performing states in the country." It would be great to see Jamb come out and corroborate these claims and say, indeed, the students are right, because right now they are opposing one another. The students and Jamb are having very, very different results and outcomes. In our next story, popular socialite and nightlife entrepreneur, Cubana chief priest, is once again the talk of the internet, and this time for kneeling before both the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and Vice President Kashim Shettima during a recent visit to the presidential villa. The gesture is a gesture of respect that is rooted in our culture, and it was warmly received in the moment by the president. But of course, there were several divided opinions online. Some people saw it as a harmless cultural courtesy, while other people saw it as over the top and sycophantic. As the images made the rounds on social media, the debate swelled on whether this was just tradition or does it say something deeper about politics, power, celebrity, and how we show respect in Nigeria. Let's take a look at social media. As a Yoruba girl myself, I kneel a lot. Achima says, "No other place in this world do you see this subservient attitude towards public office holders." And we'll take another tweet. Adlajide says, "When you know how to wash hands with elders, you can dine with them. Well done, high priest. Just ignore those online grandmasters. Give it all to get what you want." Very interesting. Team, what do you make of this? I mean, he is a grown man that is kneeling, but he is kneeling before the president. And not just that, we are African. A lot of our greeting is rooted in courtesy and kneeling. What do you make of this? I'm curious.
Culturally, people will criticize him for doing that because he is an Igbo man. The Igbos do not genuflex. They don't go down on their knees to show respect. They might bow their heads, shake you with both hands, but go down on your knees. But he's a businessman, and it's not every day you go see Mr. President and the Vice President in one room. So I can understand what he did. But that's me understanding. What about the other people? Okay, and the Jamb story, we talked about it earlier, so I don't think there's any real importance for me to talk about it.
All right, talking about Cubana chief priest, if you want to even represent the Yoruba culture, you lay flat on the floor to, you know, show courtesy to an elder. But I guess there are obstructions to him doing that, and then he decided to go on his knees. So, well, it's good for him. He knows why he's doing that. So anybody can say whatever they like. He knows why he's doing what he did. And then for the WAEC, the disparities between the students saying one thing and then the reports we are getting, it's quite sad. It still goes to show the gap in terms of communication and trust deficit at the end of the day. But I hope that Jamb has learned his lessons and it can build on how to move forward from here.
I'll start with Jamb. Jamb, they need to do better. We need to trust them, so they need to do better, because we already spoke about it, you know, in the show. But now let me move to Cubana Chief Priest Olamide, and I'll say this thing. When I saw people bashing him on social media, I really do not really get it, because honestly speaking, we talk about Nigeria being the most populated country in Africa, and this president, the #1 man in Nigeria, of course you would kneel. Like, if I see the president, I would kneel to greet him. So I don't understand. Maybe it's because of the Igbo culture, but I don't see anything wrong in what Cubana did. He could not have stood to greet the president. So the best thing, like Veronica has said, he could have either laid down, dobale, how they call it, or kneel. And he knelt down. And I feel like that was the right thing to do. He showed respect to the #1 man in Nigeria. Fair enough, you know.
Period.
Yeah, for Jamb, I think for me, I feel what Jamb has said is, you know, still within. Those who said they scored higher than that, it was just 71% of them that didn't do well when it comes to the result that had been released. But the thing is, we need to test ourselves. We need to ask ourselves the question, is Jamb asking the questions that ought to be asked, or the questions that they were taught in school? So there is it's still a work in progress, and I feel there is so much left to be desired. And for President, have we not seen President Tinubu, whenever he saw or met with President Muhammad Buhari, as the president at the time, he would always stoop to greet him. Each time he met people that were older than him, whether by virtue of office or anything, he was always stooping to greet them. So it's no big deal. It's an African thing. It's a Yoruba thing. So if Cubana Chief Priest, whether a Yoruba or an Igbo, he was greeting a Yoruba man, and he knew how to, you know, endear himself to, you know, such man. Of course, he's a man of honor. So if you are genuflected, it's just okay.
Absolutely. When in Rome, do like the Romans. But this makes me think about the kind of characteristics that we ascribe to manhood. Because this was a woman, it would be normal. I'm bending down like that, but hey.
Yeah, but people will always want to talk, you know us.